Okay, good afternoon, students. Today we are going to discuss about reverse charge on services under GST. So we already know, what is reverse charges? Reverse charges is where the buyer or recipient of goods and services has to pay tax to the government. In normal course, what will happen? Buyer will pay tax to the seller. Seller will collect tax from the buyer, and he will pay on behalf of him to the government. It is the work of seller, but in some cases what will happen, seller is not registered or he is maybe a overseas supplier. In that case, the tax liability rests with the buyer. That means buyer has to create the tax liability and he has to pay on behalf of the seller. That is what is the reverse charge mechanism. So there are certain services which are covered under reverse charge mechanism, like all the import services, because all the imports we will import from a overseas supplier, so they definitely will not be registered under GST. That will be covered under reverse charge mechanism. Legal services of advocates, transporting agencies, arbiters and tribunals, sponsorships, or local authorities, government, all these services can be covered under reverse charge mechanism. Apart from that, service of a company's director, all these mentioned 12 items which can be covered under reverse charge mechanism. And whatever the agencies are there here, one more important point is, like, if they are unregistered also, when somebody is unregistered also, we can include them as a under reverse charge mechanism. So now important task is how we are going to post this transaction and how we are going to create this tax liability under tally. So I have taken one example here. Like, we are purchasing accounting services, let us suppose, from one firm known as CA Associates, and he is an unregistered dealer. So for us, we are purchasing accounting services for 30,000, and the tax applicable is 12%, which is equal to 3,600. Now what will happen when I post this transaction? Accounting services is a indirect expense to me. That means I'll have a 30,000 accounting services expense plus 3,600 additional tax. That means total expense for me will be 33,600. Out of that 30,000 I'm going to pay to CA associate, and remaining 3,600 I'm going to deposit to the government in the form of CGST and SGST 1,800 each. So this is basic transaction. Now when we are posting it into tally, we require certain configurations. Like, first thing we require is we need to enable the reverse charge mechanism in our tally. Then we need to create masters like accounting services as an indirect expense, and we need to define tax there. And we will create one sundry creditor, the supplier CA associates. Then we will create our tax ledger CGST and SGST. This is the basic masters we require for this transaction. Now let us go to tally to post this transaction. So the first step is enabling reverse charge mechanism, so that we can do in F11 features. Go to F11 features from tally gateway. Under that, statutory and taxation, when I select that, I'll be directed to the statutory and taxation. In that, set alter GST details, we need to go there and make it S. Then the system will direct me to another window. Here you can see enable tax liability on reverse charge mechanism, this one. So we need to make it S. It's already there, so if it is not there, just we need to make it S. So purchase from unregistered dealer, enable tax liability on reverse charge mechanism. Now when this is enabled, the next task is start creating masters. So in accounting info, we are going to create required masters. So create single ledger, let us say accounting services. I'm taking it as an indirect expense for us. So indirect expense, GST is applicable, and set alter GST, we need to make it S. Now when I make it S, I'll be directed to another window. So here I need to define the tax rates and taxability. So it is a taxable item. And now see here, is reverse charge is applicable or not? I need to make it as. Sometimes this item will not be displayed on screen. So if it is not there, in this screen I need to go, what we need to do, we need to do it here in F12 configurations. We need to go there and we need to enable here, set reverse charge calculation, make it S. When I do that, this window will be shown here. So this item, so I need to make it S here. Then now reverse charge will be calculated. Then our tax rate is 12%. It is service save. Right. This is the first master. Then we have to create CA associate. He is our supplier. That means we need to take him as a salary creditor. Right. So he is a local supplier. Here is registration type. We need to make unregistered. Then saving. These are the two basic masters we have created. Then next is we need to create the tax ledgers that I have already created, like CGST output and SGST output. As we already know, CGST output under duties and taxes, tax type is GST, central tax for CGST and state tax for SGST. That we will define every time when we post a transaction. Now we have created all the masters which is required. Now let us go back to Tally Gateway to post this transaction. So in accounting voucher transactions, accounting vouchers, we need to select purchases. Already by default purchase is there. If not, F9 purchases, then give one invoice number, then tab, select our seller, CA associates, then our services. We are purchasing accounting services, so I have selected accounting services. Let us take 30,000 and release. We need to select the tax classification. Like you can see here, purchases from an unregistered dealer, nil tax, and purchase from unregistered dealer taxable. So we need to select this one, purchase from an unregistered dealer taxable, and press tab. Now here, before going forward, let us check the tax. So tax analysis, we can see here on the ribbon. So select tax analysis. Like you can see, the taxable value is 30,000 and tax is 3,600 applicable. So tax has been calculated, but it will not be shown in the system because it is a under reverse charge mechanism. Now we need to save this transaction. After doing this, now what we need to do, we need to create the tax liability and we need to pay the taxes. So again, to do that, first transaction accounting voucher, we need to post that in F7 journal. We need to select F7 journal. I'm creating a tax liability, and in F7 journal we need to select the type of voucher. You can see here J or statutory adjustment. Select this one, statutory adjustment. When I do that, I'll be directed to the what type of adjustment. So it is a type is GST. Then we need to select increase tax liability and input tax rate, because you know when we are paying tax under reverse charge mechanism, we will be given input tax credit also. So I need to select this, increase the tax liability with tax credit, because I purchased from unregistered dealer. So this I have selected. I need to select. Now see, when we are creating a tax liability, what will happen? The value of our purchase will increase. That means earlier our expense was 30,000. Now 3,600 should be added to it to make the total to 33,600. So I'll select debit account as accounting services, where I'll select 3,600. Now what will be the credit ledger? Because I'm creating the tax liability, I need to select CGST output account here, and here I need to take 1,800 because half of the amount will go to CGST and half of the amount will go to SGST output account. So that means now I have created the tax liability. See, amounts are showing 800 on credit of CGST and credit of SGST. That means we have a tax liability on these two things. Now I need to provide GST detail S, because we are going to claim this amount as a form of input tax credit later. That is why I need to make it S here, and it is on services. So I have created the tax liability here. Let us go back and check in display accounting book. Let's see GST output. See, we have a 1800 tax liability payable, and in accounting services, value of the purchase was 30,000 and 3,600 is added tax rate. Total value now became 33,600. That is the value of expenses for us. And what about C associate? How much amount is payable to C associate? Amount payable to him is only 30,000, because he is not paying tax on behalf. We are paying. We are defining the tax and we are paying. So we will pay only 30,000 to him, right? So come back again. Last entry is payment of tax. Now payment is F5. Now under payment also we need to select statutory payments. Here it is GST. Recipient liability. We need to select this amount, recipient liability, and we are going to pay it from our bank account, ICICI. I have created one bank account earlier. So now from where I am going to pay? From ICICI bank, and I have to pay CGST 1800. Here it is credit balance, so I need to pay 1800 here. So this will become 0. Well, SGST I need to pay 1800. This will also become 0. That means I have paid these two amounts, and whatever mode I am going to pay, either cash or check or credit card. If I want to select, I can select. So let us select cash only over the counter. That's it. I have paid the tax. Right. Now the tax liability will be cleared and paid. Let us go and check once in CGST and SGST accounts. See, we have created here tax liability and we paid it. There is no balance. That means we paid the tax applicable to him. So now, lastly, what we need to do here, we can claim this, because in this situation we have created the tax liability and we have made it as a what you say, input tax credit. So we need to claim the input tax credit here. So to check whether the input tax credit is available on this transaction or not, we need to go to display. To see, you can see here it is showing B2B unregistered invoice 3600 ITC available. You can see here ITC available is 3600. It is showing. Where did I let me go back to show you. So we need to go to display, statutory reports. Under statutory report, GST and GSTR. Under GSTR2 we can check here B2B transaction unregistered invoice ITC available is 3600 on this transaction. That means we have a tax credit available that we can claim later whenever we are going to claim it. See, this is available on transaction. Out of that 1800 is there in each of them, because we purchased it from CA associate, and invoice number is also given. So this is how we post the reverse tax mechanism under GST. Okay, that's it for now, students. Have a nice day.